genetically, we're not that capable, right? Like I was shit at sports all throughout elementary, all throughout high school. But like my parents never really sent me when I was young either. Like it was just study, study, study. But I was completely shit throughout all of it. And then ever since I figured out, oh, you can make your body get to this potential and you can get sick at anything provided that you put in the work, clicked, like a switch just clicked in my head. And I was like, wow. What up, lads? I figure it's time to actually give you guys a quick introduction as to who I am and what this channel is mainly about. There's no better way to start this but to start from the very beginning. Young Abby grew up hella rich. Not hella rich, but we were comfortable. Okay, like comfortable in the sense that I had like a bungalow house, 7 or 8 car driveway. We had a pool in the backyard that was like underground, and our entire backyard was marble. We had a gate to go to the pool. We had a pool house connected to the garage. So we were pretty up. So my parents had a business that they were running, food as well as a debonair. Fast forward to 10, 11 years old, which is when like I was actually starting to, grow and maybe starting to like understand the value of things, right? And understand, okay, like we actually have money. This is what our life is. My dad had different cars, all these things, right? And boom, my dad's boy steals his business. Well, my dad actually trusted him. So one of his like friends from back home trusted him. My dad signed over the business under the promise that he was going to pay. My dad's boy decided he wasn't going to pay him. And so we lost nearly 400K through that business. We cut our losses. And my dad opened a new restaurant using proceeds from selling everything on that block. We had lost quite a lot. Like we weren't necessarily comfortable anymore, more middle class. But then my dad started this business, doing quite well for a while. Like there were people coming from out of the city for my mom's cooking, dad's cooking, like that type of stuff, like my dad had a restaurant. And then he ended up sinking a lot of money into it, right? He decided to like expand and sort of make it bigger and stuff like that. And the partners that he brought on weren't necessarily the best partners. They didn't have as much investment into his business as he did, right? So my dad was running around everything. And in the meantime, my mom, who was convinced by her brother that schooling is better in the current city that we live in Ottawa, actually sent my sister and then decided to move a year later. Okay, what happened to my dad? So here it is, the importance of a good woman in your life. But my dad completely fell apart. It was like my mom was the glue holding everything together. My dad was sort of, doing the deep thinking, critical thinking. And my mom was like the drill sergeant, running everything. And mom left, and then dad completely fell apart. And he kept sinking more and more money and remortgaged our house and then kept sinking more money until it got to a point where he couldn't make his bills anymore. He couldn't pay anything anymore. We were in so much debt that my mom, who had never worked, so brown mom, came from thing, had never even seen a bill in her life, right? She had worked here and there, but more for like, her own expenses and, for doing like little things, like buying little things, stuff like that, right? My mom, who had never seen a bill before, had to work 3 jobs to make ends meet, okay? And this is where my origin story starts. I like to think of myself as a villain because I'm not the nicest person, Try to be nice to people that are nice to me, but I'm not the nicest person, and I do want to become nicer down the road, And I want to be ruthless and, go out there and get what's mine and learn during that process, right? And help people while, learning. Fast forward, I'm about 13, 14, and we moved to Ottawa, right? So my mom had already moved. I waited until I graduated my elementary school, and then I moved the following year. And at that point, we had left my dad alone with essentially no one, and he was starting to fall apart even more and losing more money, sinking more money. That's when he made a lot of sort of bad decisions, right? And he had filed for bankruptcy, and so at one point it was just mom's income that was sort of, running everything. My dad was trying to, sort out legal affairs, all those things. Taken with all of this, there was one point where my dad was crazy up, like our whole family was crazy up, and then we hit like essentially rock bottom, okay? And we hit rock bottom when I was like coming to like full consciousness and starting to know things and understand things. And I'm like, yo, what happened? Like, I thought we had money, but clearly we didn't, right? Actually, throughout all these things, my mom was still fairly like frugal with things, which is why I think we were good in the first place. My dad used to spend like crazy, but my mom was very frugal, which is why I think it worked, right? Like all the business and everything worked. And so we moved to Ottawa. That was when you first moved to Ottawa is when my mom started buying us all brand name shoes, right? So like we'd go to Foot Locker. Foot Locker was completely new to us at that point because we used to only get Walmart shit before that, you know? And so we go to Foot Locker and she buys us like my first Nikes. I still remember them. They were blue and white Nike Dunks. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. I feel so like fly and, you know, going to first day of school. Go to school. So halfway through the year, I actually messed up my Nike Dunks because I did everything in them because I love them so much, right? And like the front was like ripping and everything was ripping. And I was like, yo, I can't go to school like this. Like all the girls are watching me and shit, you know? I'm like, yo, how am I going to go to school like this? And my mom's like, yo, that's on you. You're not getting anything until the next year. So it's like one brand name shoe per year. Yeah, that's all you get. You only have that one pair that you wear for everything. Like I remember like my shoes used to stink and I used to wonder why, and it's because I like played all the sports in it. Like every like second anything I did was in that, right? So like I remember they used to stink and I used to be like, yo, what the hell? Like why is it that my shoes stink but no one else's? Like I was ashamed to even take my feet out of the shoes, like when we were changing and stuff like that, right? And I was like, okay, interesting. And we go from there and Mom tells me, yo, you can't have another pair of shoes. And I was like, yo, like, what is this? My reputation is going to go to shit. So that was my first experience of being told no. And like, I was old enough where I was like, yo, I don't ever want to feel this way where I have to depend on someone for something. That same summer, I was 14. That same summer, I applied to these student jobs that the school board did, where you'd actually make like a nice amount of money. I think it was like 2,500, and at like 13, 14, 2,500 is serious money, right? You make 2,500 in a month and 3 quarters of working during the summer. And so I worked, and that same summer, I bought our whole family, when it was time for the new year, I bought my whole family the brand name shoes. I was like, yo, this is like, I'm doing it, you know? And that, I remember it was like nearly $500 something, because you can do that, buy one, get one half off at Foot Locker, right? They do that like back to school type of sale back in the day. And I bought those shoes and like, I felt like a boss, and I was like, wow, like when you grind for your shit and when you make money, like it comes with like power and feeling good and like, you know, feeling boss-like, you know? Okay, so that's like when I first started working, and I actually worked that summer as a janitor. So like we used to take the varnish off the wax floors at schools, like scrub it off, and then we'd wash, mop everything, and then put the new layers. Right? You'd use those machines that would like clean and like scrub hard, and then you would put the new layer of wax over, right? So we did that for 2 to like 3 schools. And we did every single classroom and the gym, right? It was stupid hard work. And I'd bike to work. It was like this community center that was like maybe a 25 minute bike ride. At 7 a.m. I would start, right? So I'd work 7 to 3. So I'd bike to work, like wake up at like 5:45, make some food. Like I made like, you know, a quick egg sandwich, like 2 of them with ketchup and stuff. And then I would bike to work and get there by 7, right? And it was like in the morning, you know, it's cold and like you're waking up and you're like, yo, what is this shit? Like, yo, I went through that. And I think cause I did that and cause I did work like that, I don't consider anything hard anymore. Things are hard, and there are things that I don't like to do. Cause I did all these things, like it's something that if I need to do it, I will do, right? That's the mindset that I've had. Like if I lost everything now, and I went back, I would go and like I could start working at like a McDonald's or clean toilets or anything like that, and I would work my way back up because of the brain that I have and because of the experiences that I've been through. And so yeah, so that was where we started, and then I started making money. So like that was during the summers, right? And then during the year, I actually met one of my closest, like probably my best friend at the time, right? When I first moved to Ottawa, I knew no one. Okay, I was like this geeky kid with glasses, so small, skinny, like Sri Lankan guy. I met this one guy who like completely changed my life, like introduced me to business. So I always felt like, cause my dad had done this his entire life, like he did business his entire life, even that business like sort of mindset was like all I really knew. And he became like my closest friend, right? And we were in like, class and stuff together. He was in my homeroom class, right? So every class we were together and we spoke of, so his dad, I was really into tech, okay? I was into tech like since I was like a little kid. Okay, like I really liked the new coolest shit. I liked playing around with things. I like to take things apart and put things back together, right? And so this is where like my life really, like my life of business started. Was his dad worked at a factory where they assembled tech. So he would go, and because he didn't have like anyone to sort of watch over him, right? Because his mom was working, his dad was working, his older brother was working, and so Carl would go to his dad's shop, like where his dad was working at the factory, and he'd just pocket things. So he'd pocket like new games, like MP3 players, MP4 players, like when they first like started coming out, right? And I was like, whoa, sort of lit. And I think he got some shit on discount as well, but like I remember him just bringing stuff to school, and I was like, okay, yo, let's start a business. And so what we would do is we'd get those things, and then we'd minus whatever the cost was if he had to pay for it, or if he had to, if he obviously grabbed it, like he pocketed it, it wasn't like there was no cost associated with it. And then we'd sell it at school through word of mouth or through Kijiji. So we'd sell it at school through word of mouth or through Kijiji, and then we'd split the money, right? So take in grade 8, okay, when you're like 14 years old and you have like $100 to like spend because you had nothing to pay for, right? You literally had nothing to do. So $100, and this was back in the day, right? So we're talking like 2009, 2010, okay? $100 at that time was big money. So like me, I felt like a boss because we go cafeteria, like school cafeteria, and like for a week straight, I'd buy food for all the boys. We had like 4 boys in the gang, 5 boys in the gang. I'd buy food. My boy Carl would buy food, and like we'd walk out like every week, like the lunch lady, like the cafeteria lady, just knew us, and we'd be like, hey big dogs, and this is what money can do for you. And so that's how my business life started. Carl taught me a lot, and it was about like resale, buying things, profits, things like that. From there, I moved into tech. So I obviously, like I told you guys, I really like tech, and Blackberries were a big thing at that time, right? During this time, I didn't even have a phone plan, but I had like over 10 phones because I was buying and selling. So I'd buy broken phones. I had figured out eBay at the time. I'd buy broken phones using mom's credit card, right? And then I'd give her the money, buy broken phones, and then I'd buy those kits to customize them. So like it'd be like a trackpad issue or like a button issue where I couldn't click, like very like simple things. And at the time, so I bought the kits, and then I would customize them, make them like different colors, like blue and white or like orange and white, and then I'd make it look like essentially brand new, and then I'd sell them. I think I still have that box. I'll post a picture of that box if you guys see it, like it's just for memento purposes. But I had all these things, and so I started fixing those up and then selling them on Kijiji, and that's how I made money until I was 16. Okay, so this is where I'm coming from. We were rich, and then not rich, I'd say comfortable, and then we went to like broke where we didn't have shit. Fast forward to everything now. I'm a software engineer. I absolutely hate it. I did it for my mom because it was her dream. But I'm a software engineer, and I work as in cybersecurity. I'm trying to, so ever since I finished uni, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I sit around, right? So meditation really changed my life in 2020. And I sit around and I think about what it is that I would do with my life if I didn't care about money. I obviously do care about money, but what I would do with my life if I didn't care about money. And what that is self-improvement. I love the ability, because I'm brown, genetically we weren't capable of doing a lot of things. I think this is like my personal majority, the people that I know. Genetically, we're not that capable, right? Like I was shit at sports all throughout elementary, all throughout high school. But like my parents never really sent me when I was young either. Like it was just study, study, study. I was completely shit throughout all of it. And then ever since I figured out, oh, you can make your body get to this potential and you can get sick at anything provided that you put in the work, clicked, like a switch just clicked in my head. And I was like, wow, this is all I want to do. Like all I want to do is just keep getting better without any stop. And so that is what I'm pursuing now. So I lift. This channel is gonna have, you know, lifting content, personal development content, improving your mind, your mental health, your mental energy, dieting. And I love being good at things, right? Like when I was a kid, we used to get picked last. Me and my brother used to get picked last for everything because we were not, like we weren't good at anything, you know, and we didn't like genetically, like sports wise, we weren't like naturally talented. So now I like putting in the work to get better and better and better every time, you know, and that's what I tell my little cousins, and like they've changed from what they were before. And they put in the work now, right? Because I'm able to provide that advice. And that's what I want to do through this channel as well. To the younger me, this is what I would tell him, right? And that's what I want you guys to get from this content as well. If you fuck with it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, right? You can go learn from someone else. But there's people that have done this for me, and I figure, yo, like it's time that I pay it forward, provide the future generation with any wisdom that I can, right? And hopefully you can learn something, just anything from it, right? That's all I really want. And just to have some people that I can share my experiences with, and you know, even get feedback from, right? Like feedback on, okay, yo, like if I do something this way, like for example, if I lift this weight this way, I'm trying to build this muscle in this way, this is what I'm doing. And it doesn't seem to be, or it's working, but it's not working at the full amount, is something that someone outside can see from an outside perspective. Now I want you guys to provide me with that advice so I can get better, right? Like we're all in this to take everything we possibly can out of life. That's what I'm here for. I want to take everything I possibly can out of life. I have like a specific vision of what an average life is, which is what I'm living now, and I absolutely hate it. I love the fact that life can get better, and that having that faith that life can get better. And I really want to see how high that can go, right? So getting the body to the most powerful and the mind to the most powerful, that's what we're here for. Okay, mind, spirit, soul, all of that shit, like the entire thing, that's what I'm here for. I've got my goals written down. I'm trying to focus on it, and that's what this channel is going to be. I've really been focused on, you know, getting more viewers and more content, and like focusing on the stupid shit rather than, you know, showing you guys who I am, and just focusing on putting out valuable stuff, right? Valuable content. That's what I really want to do. And yeah, let's go from there. This is what I like to say. I don't know who I picked this up from, but you only have one life. But if you work hard, that one life is more than enough. Okay, let's get to work, lads.